Autism Rocks is a celebration of who you are. So, that's pretty much the whole point. We all go to this camp to have fun and celebrate each other. We develop this art and put it up on walls around town because we want to celebrate what you can do. We want to share that with the rest of the community so that they can see that. They can see the strengths instead of the deficits.
My name is Nell Applegate, and I am on the advisory board, and I'm a volunteer with Kindtree, Autism Rocks. Well, I worked in the field of developmental disabilities for about 30 years, and got to the point where I wanted to do a little bit of volunteer work, and I knew this guy who had this organization, Autism Rocks, and I said I would offer to do a support group for young adults on the spectrum.
And I was diagnosed back in 1957. Because I wasn't talking, it was pretty extreme. But my mother took me to specialist after specialist. I got introduced to Kindtree by a friend of Tim's and an acquaintance of mine. They always had speakers at their retreats, educational speakers, and they invited me to be their first autistic speaker at the retreat. I met my first fellow autistic people, and that was huge. And I thought, oh wow, it was like I'd met my tribe. It was a huge and touching and beautiful thing. It was tearfully cathartic.
My mother-in-law, she's 84 years old, and she don't need glasses. She drinks right out of the bottle. Oh, my name is Ryan Crane, and I'm a Dean Martin impersonator. My grandmother actually influenced me to sing Sinatra, but she had an old record player, and we'd play all 4 Sinatra records at one time. And her favorite song was Chicago, and that's how I got started in it. I performed at the Driftwood for the first time, and I was really nervous about being in front of a lot of people and didn't know how they were going to react. And I kind of took it from there. People really seemed to like it. Well, I heard from Tim, who runs the Kindtree. He told me about it, and I got involved. And I've started going there to the retreat since 2010. So I've been here for almost 4 years now. Outside of my character be Ryan Crane, with my tuxedo on be Dean Martin. Think I can be somebody, Patty, I tell you, boy.
I'm Tim Miller, and I'm on the board of directors. Everybody's sitting around the table at the dinner. There's maybe 15 people at this big table. And Steve says, let's go around the table and talk about how we feel being here right now. And he said, I just moved into a new group home, and I haven't had any behaviors, and I'm going to keep it that way. And I was just floored that this guy had so much to say, and he was so articulate, whereas all the rest of the day he was pretty much nonverbal. And that's really what hooked me to keep doing this, as I saw right away that if we created a place where people felt comfortable, felt safe being themselves, and weren't being judged and weren't being forced to go by regular society rules, they could just say what they wanted to say when they wanted to say it, that it gave them the freedom to just be themselves, which is, I think, what everybody wants. You just want to be able to be yourself and not be dissed because of it.
The way Autism Rocks came about is really fun. They did a retreat, and it was Kindtree. And then it was for adults in group homes and their caregivers. And what happened was that one of them, there was this heater at the retreat center, and he had a meltdown, and he threw the heater down, and he also broke the rocking chair. So Steve, one of the founders, put Autism Rocks on the rocking chair, and that's how the name Autism Rocks came about.
I remember at the first art show, there was this young, very quiet young woman, and she had some amazing pieces of art. We want to take your picture, and she's standing there, you know. It's like, just take a breath. And she looked around and she realized, gosh, you know, it's safe here. She puts out her arms around her artwork, you know, and we got her picture. And it was just so beautiful to see people feeling good about themselves, because sometimes that's not what happens.
We realized that that art was a positive means of expression for a lot of those folks, especially those who had difficulty communicating in other ways. We got a jury, we picked the best stuff, we got it framed, and we displayed it at a gallery downtown. I think it was Diva that first year.
What we try to do each year is to create the atmosphere of whoever you are, you're okay. We want you here, you know, and everybody gets to be themselves. So if people have meltdowns at dinner, it's okay. It's all right.
There's so much enthusiasm in the organization. The people all over the place, in the community, people we don't know, people who are volunteers, and people on the spectrum, from our support groups and participants in the program. They step up and they say, I want to do this. Or they say, I think this could be done better. I would like to take this on. And they step up and they just add. They take ownership and they add to the energy. And they do it better because it's their idea. It's very actualizing, Kind Tree is. You learn things about yourself and learn abilities that you didn't think you had.
It's really hard on people to pick out all the things that you can't do in your life, because if you start picking them out, there's a whole lot of them. And it's really depressing. So once that is over and you have this diagnosis and you've got the supports in place that you need, then let's celebrate. Let's celebrate you as a person. We want to celebrate autism. That's a big deal with Autism Rocks. Celebrating the individual.
Kind Tree, it just sort of bubbles up. I see leadership bubbling up like it is, and I see it expanding, and I see little ones, little kind trees sprouting up all over the place, and people starting them. You know, the leadership coming from enthusiasm.
I don't know what it is, Patty. I think it's a mixture of booze. I don't know what it is, boy.